Guys, it's your girl Hateful Ho, and today I wanted to do a video talking about talking about really how black men feel very entitled to black women, where that comes from, and how we can mitigate that in the future. So I want to start by saying a lot of the reasons why black men are entitled is because we live in a hegemony, and the hegemony obviously puts black women at the bottom, and black women are just one rung above us. So to them, since they don't have any money, they're not making any attempt to grow anything, they're not growing any wealth, they're not getting any education, they're only thing that they're growing in is numbers in prison, and growing numbers of lack of education. And by 2050, black men are expected to have a generational wealth of $0.00. So it's very safe to say that black men do not have shit. Okay, they don't have shit. They don't got shit going on, and the future is not bright for them. Okay, and it's looking very bright for black women. We're the fastest growing entrepreneurs. We're the most educated group of women in this country, and you can't take that away from us. Black men can't take that away from us, and they know they can't take that away from us, which is why they constantly try to twist and warp statistics as if a majority of them ever even finished, school to begin with, to even understand how statistics work. So I find that quite funny. In addition, another reason why black men feel entitled to us is because they have put us in a situation where they know the scarcity exists. Black men will play dumb and act like they don't know how few good black and decent, and I hate using the word good black men, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about men who happen to be black, who have morals, who have family stability, who are emotionally stable, who are financially stable, who have education, who are culturally aware, who aren't ignorant, who practice good hygiene, who don't have random children all over the place, who don't participate in cheating at such a high rate that black men do. And they know that a large majority of them do not exist. They know that. And they created a situation in which black women are basically not forced, but they know that black women aren't dating out. And they know that because of that, since they're not dating out, they know that if they treat us shittier, that it will actually create a pool of women that are so desperate that later on they can pick at them and get whatever they want from them at their disposal. So what we're seeing here, number one, is a group of men who are going out of their way to physically break the psyche and self-esteem of a group of women just so they can have access to them whenever they want. Number two, another reason why this is happening is because, excuse me for a second. Another reason why this is occurring and why there's so much entitlement between black men and black women is simply because they do believe that they are above us, just because of the way the hegemony is structured. They look at the hegemony and they can see that because they're men, they must be above us. So because they're inferior to every other group of men, they know that the only little bit of power that comes from being a man is being above their women. So that is the other reason why they feel so entitled to us. And to continue my last thought, going back, if you didn't believe me when I say that they go out of their way to break the psyches of these women and to go out of their way to make sure that this hegemony stays the same, if you notice, black men will call other black men simps for doing what they're supposed to do, by being good fathers, by loving their wives, by not cheating on their wives, by not doing all of these horrible things that black men are so comfortable and feel as though they're supposed to do and feel entitled to do. Another reason why I think black men are entitled to us is because a lot of black men come from single mother homes. So by default, they think that the idea of a black woman translate from their mother to other black women who could eventually treat them the same way and give them the same affection, nurturing, coddling. And to be fair, a lot of that's true. We do see that a lot of black women, when they get in relationships with black men, it's like that switch turns on and they start, really start delving into that pro-black shit and just coddling the shit out of him. So I will definitely say that black mothers play a part, and to go along with that, black fathers being absent play a part into why they feel so entitled to black women. Black men know they can't feel entitled to other black men because they didn't even have a father that stuck around and who felt entitled and responsible for them. So of course they don't feel entitled to other black men, and they don't feel entitled to their time and all that. That's why they don't give back to each other and they don't help each other, right? But when it comes to black women, they do feel entitled to us, and they feel entitled to take from us, and they feel entitled to our money, right? To our streams for their music, right? They feel entitled to our audiences, to use us as therapy even. So that's another main reason why they feel entitled to us, because they know they can't pursue white women with that kind of entitlement, because white women were never for them. They never nurtured them. They were never there for them, right? Black men were never there for them. Asian men were never there for them. White men were never there for them. They know that black women were always there for them. So they always feel like they are entitled to us. And on the flip side, black women don't feel as though black men are entitled to them for the same reasons. A lot of us did not grow up with stable fathers, just like most black men didn't. And because of that, we don't see black men as someone who can be trusted and relied upon as we do black women. And when you have that level of burden that you put on black women, on your mother, you're going to translate that onto black women as well. Another reason why black men feel entitled to us is because of the narrative that has been set up. Every race, every group, every culture, if you go to any country, any tribe, any city, especially if you go to one where everyone is homogenous, like let's say you're going to a country like Somalia where everyone's the same, they have the same religion, they all look the same. Everyone has their own cultural practices, and one of those are always going to be about courting and courtship. So that is usually relayed to that culture through childhood, right? You start out with telling them childhood stories about how couples get together, right? So in America, that is relayed to us through fairy tales. That's how we get our idea of romance and how relationships are structured. Every culture has something, some story, some cultural familiar fable of some sort that teaches kids how relationships work. In the black community, ours is this fucked up Bonnie and Clyde ride or die bullshit that basically tells little black girls and little black boys that black women who are supposed to lay their lives for you, they are the martyrs of your relationship, and black men are supposed to deserve and have owned us and will gain everything from us, and we're not supposed to ask for anything in return. Look at the movies Baby Boy, Love and Basketball, all these shitty ass movies that all of us watched when we were kids. Those are not the same stories of romance that we see where the man is courting the woman and she just exists and she's just being feminine and lovely, and he pursues her with so much voracity that they fall in love and they live, quote unquote, happily ever after. That is not there isn't a narrative for black girls that relate to romance that end with happily ever after. We have a very abstract idea of the black picket fence, of a black family that are monoracial, that are happy together with their nuclear family, their 2.5 kids or whatever. But when we actually look at what we're being presented in the media as far as narratives of what black relationships look like, what black marriages look like, we get blackish, right? We get a dark-skinned man with a light-skinned woman, or we get nothing at all. We get a narrative where the black woman ends up alone, or she ends up bitter, or she ends up, miserable, strung out, or some fucked up shit. There are very few movies and media representations where black women are being courted actively and it ends in their favor. with the exception of like maybe that Cinderella movie with Brandy. But is that even ours, really? So that is another reason why this entitlement has grown. Another reason is rap music. Rap music, we black women specifically, really it was black feminists who adopted and went hard in the paint to defend all of these actions, right? And it wasn't just like all of a sudden rap got like this. It was a process, because that is what happens when people are testing your boundaries. They test your boundaries, they wait it out, see how you react, then they do it a little bit more. Nelly would have never got to a point where he was swiping a credit card between a girl's ass cheeks if there wasn't moments before that where we didn't have black women who were defending black men's right to do this. And what we see now is that because black women were so quick to defend black men and the horribleness of hip hop, just to spite white people, it has allowed black men to get more and more entitled to our bodies, and they have to keep pushing the limit, right? That's the whole point of media. If somebody else doesn't push the envelope, then what they're doing isn't interesting. They're just doing what the person before just did, right? After Lady Gaga put on a meat dress, you had to put on something else that's even crazier than a meat dress to top that, right? So when Nelly swipes a credit card in a black girl's ass, now what is he going to do? Now what is the next artist going to do to top what Nelly did so they can get on the billboards? So it's a cycle. They do some crazy shit so they can get more money. We defend it, getting absolutely nothing in return. And in return, they feel more entitled to us. I mean, think about it. If we can defend them, saying the most lawless and disgusting shit about us, about our likeness, about our image, representing us so horribly, and we can just stand by and defend that, of course they're going to feel entitled to us, because we've basically given them absolutely every opportunity to demean us and disrespect us and get absolutely nothing in return. So of course, to a certain degree, they don't value us. Part of that is our fault, and that has to stop now. I remember reading Pimps Up, Hoes Down, and that was a part of my my gender studies class. I did a black feminism class, and that was one of the books that we read, and it was a good book for the time. And now when I look back on it, I'm like, this woman was defending why, even though rap has been so exploitive of black women, why we should still defend it, and why we should still be able to enjoy it and bop to it. And Chrissy has made some really great points about, being able, if you're going to listen to people who are problematic, don't give them any streams, right? There are ways of getting around it, wink wink. So don't give them any money. Don't go to their shows. Don't pay to see them. Don't buy their merch. Don't follow them on Instagram. Don't follow them on any social media. Don't give them any engagement. You have to realize that they have the way social media works is the more engagement you get, and that means the more likes, comments, shares, and responses to whatever they've posted they get, the more ad revenue they're going to likely get, and how that's going to affect how many brand sponsorships they're going to get in the future, because brands are always going to want to work with people who are getting the most organic, genuine likes, comments, shares, and reposts, whether it's positive or negative. The Kardashians and Kanye are a perfect example of knowing how to do this. They've been doing this for a long time, and it's starting to blow back in their face, like this whole Taylor situation. But that's a different conversation. So ultimately, you can't give them any attention when they do stuff like this. When you see any of these colorist rappers make comments like Kodak Black did about Lupita last week, don't talk about them directly, because even tweeting them out, even though I did that, tweeting them out gets their name mentioned, and that's how hashtags are made, and that's how they end up trending. even if you don't tag them directly. So if you're going to talk about them indirectly. Use some kind of code name that he doesn't know about, and it won't pick up in an algorithm, so he can't get any more sponsorships, okay? He needs to be as miserable as possible in prison, okay? He got 9 years. He has 9 years. So this little bit of hoo-ha that he's doing right now is because, prison guards are at home staying away from all these diseases and shit and the coronavirus. So I'm sure he's got access to a fucking prison phone. But make no mistake, this man is in for 9 years. Whatever little hoo-ha he's making right now will absolutely not matter, because in 5 years his music career would have been done, and it wouldn't matter anyway because he's in prison. So there is no music career. He's not coming back. In 9 years his career will not be able to recover. So sometimes you just gotta have to let dead dogs lie, as they say. And another way of making sure that you don't support these people that are colorists is you need to live with the policy that they are guilty until proven innocent. Okay, because black men do not see us as individuals. Okay, they are not capable of seeing us in our individual humanities, our individual desires. How they see us as one homogenous group that can be blamed and hated for anything. So quite frankly, it's about time that we start giving them a taste of their medicine, and we start treating them with the same amount of distance, guilty before proven innocent policy. And quite frankly, I highly suggest you don't make them your priority as far as dating either. Keep your options completely open. Do not buy their products. Do not watch their movies, okay? There are ways of getting around these things and not giving them money, once again. So Chrissy was spot on with that. So I think that we're definitely developing methods as a collective, and Chrissy specifically as one of them, to combat colorism and create defenses so that way they don't get the same foundation of support anymore. I'm really feeling like YouTube and Twitter are definitely the leaders of this, but there's still some segments of Twitter and YouTube that are still very, very pro-black and very anti-black women, and it's run by women that are actually black. So we still have a lot of work to do. I know we're going to have to leave a lot of women behind. So focus on your own growth. Don't let this stuff make you upset, because it very easily can. And I know that right now during the coronavirus, we don't have anything else to do but to be on our phones. I don't know if you can hear me right now. I'm outside. I decided to record this outside because it's lovely weather where I live. And I just wanted to remind you all how important it is to stay grounded in all of this, right? There's a whole world outside of the people on the internet that are just truly the most vile and reprehensible people, and their most reprehensible thoughts and desires can be put on there because it can be anonymous and there's distance. So remember that there's always going to be someone for you. You don't have to settle for this shit. You don't have to settle for a man who doesn't understand you just simply because he's black. And you don't have to entertain or engage a black man in any environment. Don't make eye contact with them. They don't see you as their equals, so don't give them that back. There are so many black men who are so entitled to black women to the point where they think that they're entitled to us talking to them, to responding to them, to acknowledging them on the street. You don't owe them shit. You don't acknowledge them. You don't owe them acknowledgement. You don't owe them a head nod. You don't owe them automatic, I got your back when we're in the world. You don't owe them none of that shit, because 9 times out of 10, they do not have your best interests at heart, and they are more likely going to be using you, and with absolutely no expectation of you getting anything back, because they don't see why you would deserve it. They truly do see us as the giving tree. Just give with nothing in return. It's like they didn't finish the book. So, don't give them any acknowledgement, okay? You need to treat them with just as much distance and damn near contempt as they give us, because enough is enough. They need to start feeling this shit, and I'm not even going to say contempt, because that's too harsh, but with the same amount of pause and discretion. Let me say it like that. More pause and discretion, not contempt. So give that level of discretion and pause, because so many of them approach black women with so much vile horribleness, and it's horrifying. And black men have created a system where they rely on each other to treat other black women like shit, so that way our standards stay so low that they can always have access to us. And the men who don't participate are shamed and pushed out of the collective by being called simps, pussies, gay. I hope she sees that, bro. So just pay attention to what's going on out here. You're going to have to accept that even outside of black men, a lot of men are not great either. Most men are just terrible. But there's a special breed of hate that I've seen in black men. I don't even know where it comes from. So bear that in mind. You don't need every man to want you. You just need one. You just need one to meet all of your standards. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think.